Hey guys, welcome back to the final episode of how to make a prog house trancey kind of style track. In this one I am going to take what we did in the last couple of episodes and add a little bit extra, as I always seem to do in these episodes. I think having a little bit of the week or so between the two makes me realize kind of the extra elements that I can add. So we'll add a couple extra elements and then get it down to arranging and then down into the arrangement view. And then we'll add some kind of transitions to help the sections blend together nicely and into a full track. All right, without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, I'm going to start this episode by showing off some additional elements I've added since the last video. I felt that some of the percussive elements were a bit weak, especially for the main section of the track, so I thought about layering some extra hits to give them some more drive and energy. The first being the snare hit, which I layered 2 other snares on top of. Here's a before and after. I also did the same for the hi-hat hits, which play on the offbeat. I've also added a vocal hit, which I have added some effects to make it more spaced out. Finally, I created a white noise filter in Operator, which I will use for some transitions. For that, I turned the oscillator to white noise and set the filter to bandpass. As you can hear, we can use the filter to sweep up and down and create some energy and help transition between sections. To add some movement, I apply a square LFO to the filter set to a rate of 1/4. To have the filter carry energy into the new section, I'll slap an echo with 90% feedback and 25% reverb too. I'll modulate the frequency later once the track's in place. Okay, so we have an A and a B section. Now it's time to flesh out the rest. I've shown this process off in another video, so I won't spend too long on this, and you can find that other video in the description. I'll start to audition elements to play together for the song's intro. Here I've picked the pad, respace, and an element of percussion. To save this as a separate scene, I'll go up to create and click capture and insert scene. You can also copy and paste. I'll then shift it up to the top. The congas in the echoed hits, however, are a bit too pronounced for me for this soft opening, so I'll mute them and change the clip's colour. This is quite a handy practice to get into to show that the track is different from the original. I'll then keep jamming about, auditioning tracks to be introduced to the song, till I've introduced all of my elements for section A. Then I'll remove a couple and find a nice combination for the breakdown before building into elements of section B. I do this whilst testing out some other fun combinations until I feel I have enough scenes to turn into a song. In this case, we're just shy of 20. Now to play the scenes in. I first hit the red record button at the top, then once I hit play, the tracks will record over to the arrangement view. I then just move down the scenes, allowing them to play for as long as I feel is natural, and by the end I have a 6+ minute track with a nice development of builds and breakdowns. One other way to arrange that I've shown off in another video is using a reference track. For this project, I also used that to help me think about some transitions and when to bring elements in. So I'll bring in a track that I like and use the markers at the top to write down notes about the track. I'll then remove the reference and use the markers to help me structure/make adjustments to my track. As you can hear, I've actually changed the track's kick at the start to play 4 to the floor. I also decided to bring the bass in earlier and the snare, based off my reference. Now for some elements to help with transitions and blowing the borders of our loops. First is an anticipatory kick pattern. At the end of the 8 bars, I find adding some extra kicks can help anticipate the start of the next 8 bars, helping drive along the groove. I'll add these at the end of each 8 bar, altering the kicks before the breakdown as well, removing the final kick. I'll also add a couple of kicks before the end of the build, where the kicks return. Next, let's go back to the filter sweep we set up. This one I'm simply going to automate to sweep in gradually, then really amp up at the end, creating a whoosh of energy which carries across to the new section as the sound echoes out. Now for a low pass filter sweep, which I saw on a tutorial a while ago and I'm going to apply to everything. The basic principle is that we filter out the low end of the track right before the track drops back in, so there's some more contrast and we have a bigger impact. So first I'm going to group all the tracks and name the group FX, then slap on an auto filter to filter out the low ends and sweep up to the end of the build. I'll automate the frequency but also toggle it on and off so it doesn't affect the rest of the track. I'll also do this with the delay I'm adding. I'm using this more like a phaser, so I'll bring the time down to 1 millisecond and turn the filter off. Now I'll automate the time of the delay in a similar way to the frequency. Now back to the filter. I want it to have quite a resonant sweep, but the low end gets massively distorted, so I'll automate the resonance to rise as the frequency hits the lower mid ranges. Finally, I'll add a reverb, which also increases as the track is filtered. You'll notice I actually disable the effects just before the build ends, as the kick drops back in a little early. And there you go, a nice effects chain to help bring some energy to your builds. One final thing I wanted to do was add a nice reversed sample right at the end. I chose one of my synths and recorded it down to audio. I then reversed it, found the sample with the longest tail, and stretched it out with the warp markers. Then I stuck it at the end of the build. And voila! That's the steps to make your own slapping, trancey, proggy house banger. I think I'll try and get this one released, so keep an eye out as I may also give the project away or some of the elements. So that's the video. I hope you guys enjoy this series, and in this episode particular learn about how to maybe take a loop and turn it into a full arrangement, using some techniques that I've shown you, and also how to kind of create some nice transitions and whooshes and all of that kind of stuff to help take your track to the next level and add some nice kind of movement and variation and drive throughout the track. Like I always say, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Obviously it really helps the channel out, pushing to 5k subs now, so yeah, tell your friends about it. I'll catch you in the next one.